Welcome back to the show. Into ASEAN Challenge. Next up, we take a look at the recent ASEAN interview with focus this time on a UN ambassador, namely none other than Angelina Jolie, urging NATO now to crack down on sexual violence in war as a way to protect women's rights.
ใช่แล้วค่ะในช่วงนี้ค่ะ ASEAN Interview ค่ะเราจะพาคุณผู้ชมไปพบกับ Angelina Jolie ค่ะซึ่งเธอได้ผลิตภาพยนตร์แห่งปีนะคะชื่อเรื่องว่า First They Killed My Father ค่ะที่เป็นเกี่ยวกับการละเมิดสิทธิมนุษยชนและชีวิตของผู้คนในกัมพูชาในช่วงสงครามหรือว่าปี 1970 นั่นเองนะคะในสมัยที่เขมรแดงได้เรืองอำนาจนั่นเองค่ะเธอได้ออกมาเรียกร้องให้นาโต้นะคะดำเนินอย่างจริงจังในการยุติการคุกคามทางเพศในฐานะเป็นเครื่องมือทำผู้คนในช่วงสงครามนั่นเองนะคะเดี๋ยวไปติดตามการสัมภาษณ์กับรอยเตอร์กันค่ะUN Refugee Agency Special Envoy Angelina Jolie called on NATO on Wednesday, January 31st, to help stop the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war, as the Hollywood star broadened her international efforts to protect women's rights. Jolie, who earlier this week visited a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan, made her appeal to the U.S.-led alliance top decision-making body, the North Atlantic Council, in Brussels, and later met NATO military commanders.
UN Special Envoy Angelina Jolie.
There can be no lasting peace and security without equal rights and participation for women in all societies. And those rights cannot be achieved in an environment where there is impunity for mass crimes against women and girls.
NATO, which counts 29 members and has missions from Kosovo to Afghanistan, has agreed to help report on sexual violence in war to help bring perpetrators to justice and challenge the idea that rape is an unavoidable aspect of conflict. Jolie, a mother of 6 who last year released her film First They Killed My Father about Cambodia's Khmer Rouge regime in the 1970s, said she had met victims of sexual violence in conflict and was trying to be a voice for them. Expressing frustration at the lack of assistance available to victims, Jolie said she hoped that NATO could help by raising standards in other militaries through its training programs abroad, as well as promoting the role of women in military.
Violence against women and children, particularly sexual violence, is an increasing feature of conflict and insecurity worldwide. Yet the use of rape as a weapon of war has been regarded inevitable feature of conflict as a lesser crime and a problem too difficult or too uncomfortable for societies to address. I'm very concerned about the Rohingya. I'm very angry that the response internationally has been lacking. I'm very concerned about the stories of the 10-year-old girls who are being raped, and there's a lot of discussion. There's maybe too much discussion and very, very little action, and we see this is all too often the case these days.
Jolie singled out the plight of Rohingya refugees fleeing violence in Myanmar and what she said was the inadequate response of many governments around the world.
It's about more women in the armed forces. And one of the issues we really are working on in many of our partner countries, for instance, in Kosovo, in Afghanistan, in Jordan and other places, is how to have more female soldiers and also more female police. We are training them, we are empowering them, and we believe that more women in the armed forces is good for the empowerment of women, but is also good for our security and for the armed forces.
This fight for equality, somebody said the other day about giving women their rights. You don't give it to them, they have it. They're born with their rights. This is something that, every woman, every girl was born with her human rights, and we must protect them and fight for them. So it's a pleasure.
With some 65 million people forced from their homes by conflict as of the end of 2016, Jolie said the sheer scale of the refugee crisis worldwide felt overwhelming.
that wraps up ASEAN Challenge this week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again very soon next week. For now, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ